How you doing, guys? So the subject of self-discipline has come up, and it's something that just about everybody, for the kids and adults and stuff, mention when they join. I want to have better self-discipline, or I'd like my kid to have better self-discipline, and they, they want us to impose that on the kids and on the adults, and especially for adults, like, there's two kinds of discipline, right? So there's the discipline to do things and the discipline to not do things, yeah, right? So, for example, looking at me and my wife, I'm very good at doing things. I'm very good at setting goals and working hard towards things and stuff like that. My weaknesses are not doing things, yeah, like maybe eating pizza or having a beer, or, I haven't drunk in like a month now, but like, generally, that's my weakness. It's very easy for me to motivate myself to do just about anything. Yeah, that's to do with moving forwards. And so what typically happens is people will start jiu-jitsu, and for them, the doing thing is the turning up to class. Yeah, making it through the class, washing their gi, saying to themselves, I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so they're going to do those things, and then as they start to do those things, they feel really good. They're like, hey, I'm doing things, that's great. And then what tends to happen, I guess especially with guys, I can't speak for women obviously, but guys really don't like losing. We have a delicate ego and stuff like that, and so we start off losing, and we don't like it, we don't like the feeling. And so, most people starting are a little bit overweight and are not looking after themselves particularly well, and so they'll start to make like little micro decisions, like when they finish work, maybe because they're kind of lazy, they go get McDonald's on the way home and stuff like that. They don't cook for themselves very often and things like this. So they leave training, they've come from work to training, and now they're on their way home. So they look at McDonald's and they're like, that equals losing, yeah, right? So I'm gonna go to Subway, right? As a perceived healthier option. And then, maybe a few weeks or months later, then instead of doing that, they decide, oh, I could go to the supermarket and buy a big fat steak for the same money, and that would be even healthier, And so they start to make these like little course corrections the whole time, yeah? And changing things. But at its kind of root level, what it is self-love, yeah? It's caring enough for you to do these things for you. Now you have like a reason for it, or almost an excuse to have to do it, a reason to have to do it. But you shouldn't need jiu-jitsu or something external, to do that. You should be willing to do that just because you love yourself and care for yourself and have respect for yourself. And if you need something external like this, that external pressure on you to do it, then that's awesome. I've constantly in the past, especially when I was a competitor, then I would create like little paranoid fantasies in my head to force myself to do things, to drive myself towards excellence, to push myself very hard during fitness training sessions, for example, to achieve the goal, or to push myself more, or to extend my PR, for example. And I think that it becomes kind of evident the longer that you're at a club and watching people's behavior that some people really struggle, like they're struggling that they're able to do things, come to training, things like that, but they really struggle with not doing things, with letting old bad behaviors go. They're over 50 years of age and they're still partying and abusing themselves, like abusive alcohol practices and stuff like that, writing themselves off, looking forward to crazy parties and prioritizing that over more sensible options. It's interesting because one of the things I really like about Pedro Sauer and his association motto is through deeds, not words. And I think because that probably arose because people tell you lots of stuff as a coach. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, watch this, and the big talkers almost do nothing. They almost always do nothing. You know, whether it's I'm going to win the state champs, I'm going to train for this, whatever it happens to be, by far and wide, the majority of people that talk the most do the least. It's the quiet workers, the ones that are reluctant to tell you their goals because they might have written them down themselves at home in their diary, or not even. Maybe they think like, this goal is just too big. Yeah, like I can't tell people about it because it seems kind of crazy, you know, that I might want to get my blue belt. Yeah, like, yeah, and it's the people that work away quietly, that have these kind of quiet goals that they've mentioned maybe only to themselves. They're the ones that get there. Yeah, not the big talkers that have the giant plans about doing this. Sometimes those people exist and do and you know, do the right thing, and they've got good self-discipline, they can work hard, they you know, respect their bodies enough to look after their diet, and they achieve their goals. And that's amazing to watch, but it's extremely rare. Yeah, it's extremely rare, and it almost always shows up in the rest of their life as well. You know, that they're able to put themselves through higher education. They're always trying to improve themselves. They're listening to audiobooks, and they're watching documentaries on positive things, and they're trying to make positive changes in themselves. And it's funny because there's almost always a negative internal dialogue, yeah, whereby, and it's funny, this morning I was watching a UFC program with the wife, and Forrest Griffin was on it, and he's watching himself fight Shogun Rua, and he's constantly criticizing what he's doing. Oh my God, that takedown was terrible and all this. And I said to the wife, I go, see, that is excellence at play. Yeah, right? The people that think that they have it all sorted, the people that create these grand plans and are all talk and don't do anything towards it, like, they're a dime a dozen. The quiet achievers that work hard like that, who have this inside criticism to perform better, yeah, right? Like it's that internal dialogue, yeah? They don't take it into their external environment, yeah, right? They look after themselves physically, mentally, and, you know, have positive friendship groups and all that sort of stuff. But your internal dialogue is like, I'm not doing enough. Yeah, I could have done that better. Next time, let's do that better, right? And set high standards for yourself, and then actually set them and work towards them. You know, don't just tell everybody you're going to do something and then don't even bother doing it, because then no one's going to believe anything that you say anymore. You know, and so I like to set high goals for myself. From the minute I'm obviously in my gym today, and so like the minute that I walked through the door, yeah, I already had planned the next place. Yeah, right? It's going to be bigger than this. It's going to have a weights area. It's going to have a hot cold plunge thing, individual change rooms for men and women, you know, like the whole shebang. Like, I'd like it to be a really, really nice place. Obviously can't afford it right now. And so like, this is what we can afford, and this is where we're at. And this is like way better than the community center where we were. Is it expensive? Yes. I'm paying a week here what I was paying a month there. But I can sit in my gym anytime I want, 24 hours a day. I can make videos, I can do private lessons here. I know that nobody's coming in and messing up the mats when I'm not here. Yeah, and it's my own personal space, and it's the space for my students. They can come in and use the space with permission almost whenever they want. So there's 1,000 benefits. There's only the financial stress, and that's solved by me doing security work in the weekend. So, you know, you got to pay the ferryman, right? The bills have to get paid, and you do what you have to do to get it done. You know, it's that simple. Yeah, I have to have the self-discipline to get up and go to work and work 7 days a week for an indefinite period of time. Yeah, while the membership here builds, And when we get to a certain point, the same as what I've done before, you get to a certain point, I don't have to do my security work anymore, and that will be awesome. Yeah, and until then, and I don't know when that's going to be, I haven't set a goal for it yet because we can't afford a lot of advertising, so all of our business is organically generated, you know, and I mean, that's frustrating too, but so I have to deal with my own internal dialogue there. So show respect for yourself and look after yourself, and realize that there are those two types of self-discipline, yeah? And just because you're very good at doing things doesn't mean, like if you're very good at training and doing the physical stuff, it doesn't mean you can just like drink like a fish in the weekend and abuse your body and expect it all to go well, because it's not, yeah, right? If you're pushing yourself physically and then you're doing that on the back end, guess what? Injuries are coming, all sorts of physical ailments are on their way, because you can't do both, yeah? You will for a while, but again, you're gonna have to pay the ferryman, right? Eventually, yeah, you can't out-train a bad diet and bad habits. It's simply not possible. So the higher that your expectations are of yourself to go forwards with your physical training, then the more important it is to respect your body and to give it the nutrients that it wants. Alcohol is so high in calories, the amount of calories that you're taking on board, they're all destructive calories. Like there's not one calorie there that's good for you, yeah, right? It's poison for every cell in your body. It does absolutely no good for you. And yet, if you're taking on thousands and thousands of calories of alcohol, which is not difficult to do, because it's very high, you know, alcohol, a lot of the calories are in fat form, so that's 9 calories per gram, right? That's just crazy. And you can drink how many calories very, very easily, you know, like consuming liquids is the fastest way to get fat. It's the fastest way to get calories into you, yeah? So like for me, because, you know, like I usually train a lot, I like protein drinks and stuff like that, because I don't want to eat, I can't eat a giant steak and then get on the mat and teach and stuff like that. So I know how to use these different tools. I've studied it, I understand what I have to do and what's best practice, so I try and do that. Am I perfect? No. You know, like, will I allow myself to have a couple of beers at the UFC this weekend? No, I won't, because I'm feeling so good from not drinking that I won't do that. Will I have a couple of glasses of Coke? Yes. Is there sugar in it? Yes. Right? Is that good for me? Probably not. But in terms of my total calorie use for the day, it's not going to be a surplus. And if it is for me, who trains so much, who watches the rest of their diet, that's not a biggie, because I was probably on the mat for 4 hours before I went and had a couple of glasses of Coke, right? And I'll have a burger and it'll be great, yeah? So have respect for yourself. Realize that there is a cost to pay, a psychological cost to pay. If you're telling people that you're gonna achieve these heights, or telling yourself, or if you have these physical goals, and then you're going and doing a lot of destructive behavior that's counterproductive for those goals, you're gonna have some very negative feelings about yourself, yeah? Right? I know, I've been there, I understand it. Because one of the worst things about addiction, and it is an addiction, if you can't control it, then it's an addiction. Whether it's opiates, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's other drugs, it doesn't matter. It's still an addiction, and addicts feel incredibly guilty, yeah? And their self-esteem takes a huge plummet every time they resort back to that behavior again, yeah? And they feel really shit, they feel depressed, they hate themselves, you know, because they want to do better and they just don't. They just don't, they're not doing it. Yeah, they want to do it, but they're not doing it. The only way to do it is to do it. You can't say you're going to do it, you can't think you're going to do it. Actions speak louder than words. You have to just do it. Now, the question is, why are you still doing it? Yeah, like Because if it was just about you and you have self-love, then that should be pretty easy, right? So who in your circle of friends is misleading you? Yeah, like I always thought for the longest time when I was competing that all the people that seemed to be my loudest, most vocal supporters and closest friends would be there for me when I smashed my back up. And guess what? As soon as the money trail ended, as soon as I stopped shouting my friends food and dinners and stuff, they were gone. They weren't friends at all. And the people who did show up for me were not the people that I'd spent the most time with at all, or the closest to. But they were genuinely good people, and they're still my friends to this day because they were there for me when I really, really, really was in trouble mentally, right? I was not in a good place. I just lost everything I'd spent 20 years working for, and they turned up. They would come around to the garage and kick my ass on the mat a couple of times a week. You know, they send me little messages occasionally. Hope you're doing well. Keep your chin up. You can get through this. You know, one of the reasons I love Pedro Sauer so much is that, you know, of his millions of students worldwide, he would take the time to send me a message, you know, and he knew I was going through it, and I've got a lot of time for that man as a result. And so it's difficult because once you decide that you want to achieve things, and this is the same in New Zealand, it's the same here in Australia, America was different. The tall poppy thing is for real. Yeah, tall poppy syndrome. As soon as you start trying to reach, those around you who wish that they could do something like that, but can't, will sabotage you. They'll be prying you with drinks, they'll be suggesting this, and oh no man, you look tired, you know, maybe you should have a night off training, or you're training too hard, like take it easy man, we'll go out for a few drinks this weekend, relax. You know, those people are not your friends, yeah? They are saboteurs, yeah? And they do not have your best interests at heart. So they always say like, beware of the 5 people closest to you, because that's who's gonna influence you, yeah? And one of the reasons why Adele and I click so well is because we're very much aware of that, and we want the other person to be the best person they can be, yeah? And if we're standing in the way, our agreement is we will step aside, yeah? If I'm not the partner for Adele, and I'll be like, if I'm not there for you, if I'm not acting in the way that you want and you need, go find somebody else, yeah? And it's the same for me, right? So knowing what's at stake, we want the other person to be their best selves, and we support each other, and we're honest with each other. If we see the other person like getting off the train tracks, then we will say something, because that's love, yeah? Right? Love is saying the truth, yeah? Risking, it's called averting fear of loss, right? So if you're scared of losing your partner, so you're like, oh, I better not say anything, you know? I better not say anything because like then she won't like me or whatever. That's not love, that's cowardice, yeah? It's different. If your wife says, do I look fat in this? You can say, hey, look, maybe we're the blue one, right? That's a subtle way, right? You know? Or you could just say, yes, you look much better in the blue one. You know, like maybe we both need to go to the gym a little bit more, right? Yeah? So there's a way to say things, yeah? Right? But even if you mess it up, the other person should know that you are saying it with love, right? That you're caring enough to risk an argument, to risk them not liking you for like a half a day because you were being honest with them, yeah? They're the sort of people that you want around you. People who are going to be honest with you. They are friends. They are people who care, right? And so in New Zealand, I faced a lot of persecution because I had very, very high goals from a young child, and I was ridiculed for it and bullied for it and all sorts of stuff. The same thing happens at adulthood. Australia is very similar. In fact, a friend of mine who set up his own clothing brand was talking about it on social media this morning, you know, about some of the comments he's got from his friends. And I'm like, they're not friends. yeah? They're not friends, yeah? So be careful who you let close to you, yeah? Ensure that you're not sacrificing your goals and the life that you want for yourself to try and appease others who don't have the self-discipline, drive, or desire to achieve their own goals, who are too scared to reach forward. So they're like, well, you're not going to do that too. And so they're going to sabotage you. And it's very common in partners. I've seen it in jiu-jitsu a lot. The number of times that husbands have not extravagant dreams. They want to train a little bit more to get their blue belt. They maybe might want to win the state champs and stuff, right? And they want to train 1 extra day a week. So now they're training 3 days a week or 4, something like that. Not crazy. They're going to work, they're taking care of the family, they're doing all the things. They just want to achieve this dream and they've got 3 months to train for it. And it's very common that women don't have the same hobbies as men. It doesn't have to be the same, but like they don't invest in their hobbies as much. They value friendship and their friendship group a lot, but they don't see that as a hobby or a sport. Like that's their support network. Well, guess what? Most of the time, guys' support group is their sport. It's the same thing, yeah? So like, it's really common that the woman will be jealous of the passion that the guy has for this particular thing. And she might even feel that it's detracting from her. This thing is becoming more important than her. And so she will sabotage his desire to want to achieve his goals there because she doesn't have her own, yeah? It's not necessarily a male-female thing. I've seen exactly the same thing with really highly motivated female fighters and their boyfriends or husbands doing exactly the same thing. It's just more common with guys, that's all. So be very careful of the people that you have around you. They're going to influence your life a lot. If you have high goals and you want to be more healthy and you don't want that lifestyle anymore, well, you're going to have to cut off the people that are from that lifestyle. It's really, really simple. Yeah, okay, so for a while you'll have less friends and maybe your life will be like less fun. But like where you want to go to, you can see that you can have a more positive friendship group who are more, you know, they're competitors or they're more driven or they're more positive or they're more ambitious, yeah? And the other people in your life who are not like that are not going to like those people because those people represent success and it represents a failing in them to be able to motivate themselves and have the self-discipline to try and reach the goals that those people actually have. So anyway, that's my little chat today about self-discipline. It's super important. Without it, you can't do much. Cheers, bye.